Hello, traveler. Welcome back to Gamers Elf's Loft. Come in, sit back, relax, and listen to me ramble. We all know what it's like when we had our first crush. We know what it's like when we had our first waifu. We also know what it's like to have our first TTRPG, romance, or even marriage. But those things, in most part, are harmless. Unless, of course, you're a dirty redder like me. But that's another thing. We have a story about a nice guy who claimed someone in game that, one, didn't want to be owned, and also didn't even want to be romanced in the first place. Then blowing up with his underage crush when they start dating in real life. Buckle up, sit back, relax, listen to me ramble. This story comes from RPG Horror Stories, from Demalzai Mad. A nice guy accused me of misandry for not wanting to date him in the RPG. English isn't my native language, so please forgive any mistakes or slang from another language. I was only 16 years old at the time. Let's call myself Mad. I joined an RPG group on WhatsApp that a friend from high school found from another friend of his. Let's call this friend of mine Meliodas because he loved using a variation of Umberkinesis, very similar to Meliodas from Nanatsu. There was also a friend I made in the RPG. Her character was a boy who looked about 13 or 14 years old and had been created to replace someone's lost child. Something that with kind of a P from Lies of P vibe, even though at the time that game didn't even exist yet. The character name I will use to refer to her was Wide. Besides the narrator, our last character was called Bishop because that was the name he used on WhatsApp. The story was a homebrew based on the cyberpunk and D&D systems, set in a futuristic world where artificial humans were made with a specific purpose. However, after a catastrophic event, a goddess decided to cause the next flood and wipe out humanity out completely. Centuries later, the world had become a desert, and some artificial humans were awakening by her to participate in a kind of Hunger Games. Everyone had amnesia and solely remembered pieces of their past and the catastrophe that had led to the world to the state. My character was called Ashley. She had been created as a copy of her creator, a woman who resented her own life and existence after the many sins she had committed as the leader of a futuristic mafia, and after losing her love, one of her employees in the mafia, because of her own mistakes. Yes, very edgy, but I was 16 years old. Give me a break. My character was a typical female version of an edgy anime character, a female light who was less dictatorial and sadistic. Right at the beginning of the RPG, my character ended up becoming friends with another player's character. She played a young boy, the youngest there, who didn't really know how to defend himself, but was a genius inventor. My character developed a maternal bond for him throughout the entire game. Right at the start, this Bishop guy had already started sending me messages in the off, saying that my character was really cool and he liked my dynamic writing. I thanked him and said I liked his more elaborate writing too. From then on, he started sending me several messages so that our characters would meet in the RPG, since the map imitated a real city, and because of that, the players were scattered across several distant scenarios. I thought the idea was interesting, and so our characters met up. That's where the problem started. I described my character's appearance by explaining that she had piercings and tattoos in a relatively large quantity, because I loved piercings and tattoos, and at the time, I couldn't have them because I was young. He didn't like it. He started complaining in the off about it, saying that it didn't match the dramatic and dark, elegant aura of the character. I got irritated, and I simply replied that that's how I imagined her. His character was a little older than mine. Ashley was between 21 and 23 years old, while his was around 27. The problem got worse as during the RPG, his character and he himself started trying to control how Ashley would act, and many times, even how I should play my own character. Already not liking this guy. Not only was he didn't like how she appeared, then started controlling how her character should play and act. Buddy, you ain't anything to them. You literally just met. At the same time, he kept flirting with my character in the RPG, something that I had made clear she wasn't interested in, especially because, as she recovered from her memories, she couldn't distinguish what was her and what was her creator. even feeling the pain of losing her creator's love without knowing that those were memories of her regrets. Many times he sent me things in the off and I rejected him, saying things like, "Playing hard to get? That makes the involvement interesting, Bad. I don't need to overdo it." I replied that I wasn't into that, and that the partnership between our characters should be strategic and based on our companionship. At the same time, I became very close to Wide, just as our characters became closer and actually finally met Meliodas' character. They were the typical stupid and comedic anime duo. My serious character focused on strategy in the game, and his character being a lazy idiot who preferred sleeping and eating over during doing anything else. The relationship between Ashley, and Meliodas was funny and not that close, but full of companionship and comic relief. With Wide, the maternal relationship served as a counterpoint for my character to learn to be more emotional and human, unlike the creator present in her memories. I don't even need to say that the guy started being bothered by this. The problem is that he got even more bothered by the relationship between Ashley and Wide. At one point, he made a joke in the general off about Ashley maybe preferring younger people, since I was also young in real life. Wide and I sent him a flood of messages saying that it was bizarre and lame, since the relationship between our characters was extremely cute and innocent. At the time, I didn't realize how much he flirted with me in the off. Again, I was 16 years old, and there was a small detail. He was 25 years old in real life. So much so that I saw him more as a sort of a mentor or older RPG brother. Around the time, two players decided to marry their characters who had already had a romantic involvement. We thought their romance and dramatic adventure scenes were cute, especially because the characters imagined that, despite everything, they might have to fight each other as the story progresses. That was when Bishop decided that his character and Ashley should do the same. Doing a quick cut to the video here and saying that most of the views are from non-subscribed people. It would really help me out as a creator in this space if you could leave a like and comment on my videos. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out and shows me that people actually like my content. So if you could ring my subscription bell and smack that notification bell, you would know when my videos come up. It would also very greatly help me. Now, let's get back to the story. He turned my life into a hell in the off, asking for that non-stop and saying fan art of Ashley again without her creating tattoos, which I had already said I liked on her, and that she was my character. Couple words for you. Take the hint. Not hard, bro. 1, she's 16. 2, you are 25 years old. Go get a girlfriend. If you can even imagine what a girlfriend would be besides trying to control someone almost half your age. The hell's wrong with you? I talked to the narrator, who said the bishop was just a little needy, but he was a good friend and that I should let it go. Then a bomb dropped on this guy's head. I started dating in real life. I started dating a classmate who was currently my husband. I mentioned this to Wide in the off one day, so she knew. During one of the narrations, I warned in the off that someone was calling me, that I'd be right back. Joking around, Wide sent a message in general off asking if it was my new boyfriend. Bishop lost it. When I came back, he was tagging me like crazy in general off and in private. He had started insulting me non-stop, saying outrageous things. At one point, he even said that I was misandrist, that I wanted men as my personal puppies, and that I probably acted that way because I was suffering from abuse in childhood. Alright, that answers a lot of questions right there. You are just stupid, bro. 1, 16. 2, 16. 3, they're allowed to date people because they're not dating you. They never were. They were never going to. You and your character and their character and them were never going to happen. At all. Ever. Then you want to say they're misogynist or misandrist, and also they want to have people act like they're personal puppies? What is wrong with you, bro? And then to make a fact statement that you don't even know it's true or not because you were a little upset because someone said no to you, that you said that they had to have had child abuse in their past? What is wrong with you, man? No. He also said that maybe I would like his character if he had tried to grab my character, describing about some pretty heavy things. The people in the group were asking him to stop and calm down. I'm sorry for jumping in so many times, but that alone warrants a more elaborate explanation. So again, we're going to talk about a 16-year-old who probably has never played D&D or RPGs really ever, to then get into this toxic group, or at least this one person, having someone that they personally enjoy playing as, really likes the idea of everything, to then have to deal with this to the point where he says that he thinks that he should just try to grab her in the start because she might have just liked it. No, you need to be taken out like Old Yeller, bro. Meliodas sent me a message saying that Bishop was an asshole and started arguing with him in the general off, telling him to stop being creepy and acting like an idiot defending me. At that moment, I think he thought I was going to cry or something like that. But I was pretty immature, so I simply snapped back. I started insulting him back in the chat and opened the group's voice call and called him immature, an asshole, and said that he was probably trying to compensate for something. The narrator slash GM kicked me out of the group. The worst part was two things. First, Bishop didn't stop bothering me in private, forcing me to change my number. Second, Meliodas told me later that Bishop wasn't kicked out of the group. He stayed in the RPG and started focusing on another girl, who also seemed to be underage. Moral of the story, nice guys deserve nothing less than being burned in a public square. Jesus, what is happening? I can only imagine how far that goes back for you, OP. I really do, and I really hope that you're in a much better place now. I mean, obviously you have a husband, so that's awesome. But that's just rough. Not only did you have to deal with that for God knows how many sessions or how many long hours and months you guys played, but also to then realize that you can't even have your own personal life because this person decided before you even had a chance to even know what dating was really, that you were his and that you had no choice but to go with what he wanted. Then when you realize you have autonomy because you are a freaking rational person, you decide dating someone. And awesome, great, fantastic. Then you want to tell your friends. Awesome, cool, fantastic. Then that turns into a giant explosion of he doesn't understand that you're not actually his, to then wanting to basically say that he should just force himself on you. No. Come on, man. No, cold shower won't help. No, yeah, you definitely need that burning in the public square. Yeah, no. But, OP, I'm glad you are more of a hopefully better place in your life, and hopefully that this stuff hasn't happened again, and you're not ruined from RPGs in general to try and play again. I hope you have a very happy and healthy RPG life, and we support you. But with that being said, guys, please remember to like and subscribe. Put your comments down about what you want me to read next. And remember, the greatest power in all of Powerscaling is the power to say no. Thank you. Be safe. Enjoy my forest hovel, and farewell.